Daddy, chill.
Good morning, everybody. I am Drift, aka Robbie.
And I'm Khan. Good morning.
All right. Welcome to Still Our Podcast.
I think that just might be the name, guys. Who knows? Who knows?
It's just our pod. Happy Thursday for the third episode of our podcast. And Khan, how you feeling? How you feeling, bud?
I'm pretty good. How are you feeling today?
Pretty good, honestly. I was a little afraid that, I think we have a good rapport, Con, but I was a little afraid that we might, get stuck on a bit of topics, but it turns out we're kind of yappers. A little yappy.
We are yappers, surprisingly, which is actually like in person. I'm not a yapper at all. I'm like the quiet guy in the corner.
You're the quiet, sweet guy,
Mm.
But, yeah.
For some reason, when me and you start chit-chatting, we be chit-chatting.
And guess what? That's why we were perfect for this pod. And
Yes.
like we said, guys, we'll get a name eventually. But so today is a very special topic. It's a little more personable. No,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm excited.
It's not any media opinions or any hot topics of the day. This one's obviously a little more personal. And the topic of today is what is the worst job you've ever worked?
The worst job. Well, just thinking about it, I'm not particularly sure if it's like a job, but it was definitely a gig.
Okay, that works too.
Yeah. It was like a one night gig. A friend of mine, I guess relative, was opening up a new restaurant.
Mm.
It was a fancy Indian restaurant, and they were having a grand opening. So, of course, my friend suggested to all his friends to come work as waiters and bellboys and essentially just walk around, take people's orders, take people's drink orders. And however, the funny thing is, 95% of the people that came were Indian.
Of course. Of course. To be fair.
Yeah. So can you imagine like a bunch of 14, 15, and 16-year-olds just walking around? They don't even really understand the food. They obviously do not drink.
Mm.
So for me, I'm going around trying to take people's drink orders. I had no clue what they were ordering. What are these names? So occasionally I'll just go up to like the bar host or the bartender.
Mhm.
I'll just make up something. I would literally just be like, yeah, he wants this and that. Okay.
No,
I'll bring it back.
I need some names,
Nah.
bro. I need some names of the things you threw at them.
No, I don't particularly remember, but it's definitely like your generic stuff, like, like Coke and Jack, stuff like that, or
Whoa.
gin and tonic. But
Okay.
I know for a fact they did not order these. They were coming up with some fancy name because it's like a fancy restaurant. So they were like, okay, they're throwing out actual names of drinks. I have no idea.
Mm.
I bring back the drink, like, here you go, here's your drink. And then I just left. I did this the entire night. Same thing with food. They'll be ordering appetizers. I would just make it up. I'll be like, yeah, they ordered this and that. Oh, that was like just thinking back. It was actually, it was bad. It was bad. However, though, good tips.
Like any good restaurant. Look, even if you didn't know the names and, didn't know quite exactly what they were ordering, I'm sure you put on a performance, Con. I'm sure you held it down for front of house.
Nah, 14-year-old, 15-year-old Khan. He had no clue what the fuck this kid got no riz,
Oh, he didn't develop the Con charm yet.
No, nothing of that sort.
Did you as an older person just use the word Riz? Oh, are you being hip?
What do you mean?
You being hip right now?
Hip?
Are we being hip?
Are you calling me old, man?
I think we're old, Con.
We're very old. We're just a couple old guys.
Just chatting
A couple
about
old
nothing.
seamen floating around.
I'm telling you, man, that's climbing the leaderboard. Well, you know what? By the point this episode comes out, we'll have the new polls for what people think should be the name. If that comes out on top, no pun intended. If that comes out on top, what can I say? The people have spoken, right?
Mm-hmm. So anyways, that's my worst job. Kept it nice and simple. Initially, I was going to talk about my first job, but that's too long of a topic.
Mm. A lot of inside story there. A little too much, a little too deep.
Next time.
Okay. That's a good one. I think it's funny, both of our worst, quote unquote, worst jobs are service industry jobs. I feel it's a pretty
I
common experience. No, I feel like that's a very common
It's like a
way.
rite of passage
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
grow up.
You
You
have
gotta
to
have a
work.
bad service job.
Always a bad experience just serving the public and just realizing how shitty they are. Um, I have had pretty much the same job for a long time, and that's working with kids. My friends know.
Mhm.
I love it. I love
Mhm.
developing young minds. I love the smile. Love making people smile. I love bringing sunshines to days. Believe it or not, as a terrible person as I am, I love bringing the sunshine. But my this was my first job I got in high school, and I've been working with kids for a long time since then. But in between my freshman year of community college, I needed a fall job. I was like, you know what? I can't work with the kids during the fall. I'm going to school, but I have some time in the
Yeah,
evenings. I
like a
need
seasonal job.
a little seasonal job. I need a little seasonal job that I can work in the evenings because all them kids ain't at no daycare or anything in the evenings. They're at home. So I need some work. I need to make some money. I need to pay for community college. I get a plug through one of my good friends, and she found a job working at, this was 20, oof, man, this is the end of 2017 or early 2018.
Okay. Mhm.
And she was working at this super healthy, like health forward smoothie place. Like we're talking about like acai bowls, fresh, like blended smoothies with like vegetables and leafy greens. And they sell like ginger shots. Like this was like when this shit was picking up, right? I feel like they're much more ubiquitous now to find shops like that all over, especially on the coasts for sure, especially in the Bay of
Yeah,
all
yeah,
places.
definitely.
So it was a new spot in the city that I worked in, and she got me plugged. I was telling her I need a job, and she's like, "Oh, look, I work at this place. Let me hook you up." I interviewed. I came in a button-up shirt and tie. I looked a little overdressed, but I killed.
Alright, alright.
I killed the interview. What can I say? Adults like me when I was when I was a teenager. Like parents liked me. I think I presented myself very well, very professionally, or just I didn't act like a kid when in front of
Yeah,
adults.
that is literally the opposite of me. Parents hated me, bro.
Parents loved me. Okay, every time I met people's parents, the parents seemed to like me. So the interview went well. I got the job, got the gig, and it was this at this smoothie shop. You know, you're thinking, okay, it's a smoothie shop. Well, what could be so bad? You make some acai bowls. We even had vegetable wraps, whatever. The issue with this fucking job, not naming the place, we're not dropping names. To be fair, this place I think is shut down now, and they haven't been open in years. But
For a reason,
for a
apparently.
reason, all right. But this place, they have a pretty like skeleton crew. And I feel like a lot of places do this, you know, just enough to keep open so they can keep the margins and their gains high, you know, pay the least amount of people, get them to work. All of us were basically just out of high school kids, and they'd barely overlap shifts by like 15 minutes, but it'd basically be one person at the shop at all times. I was mainly the
Right.
closer.
Mhm.
And the issue was that as the closer, I have to like solo clean the whole shop. That's
Oh,
mopping the
that's
whole
the
shop.
worst. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have blenders at home, not just blenders, but specifically juicers. I don't know if you guys have juicers
Yes.
at home, but you guys know how
Yes.
annoying juicers are to clean. And holy moly, juicers, when I'm firing on all cylinders, by the time I get to work, it's by the dead end of the day, probably like 4 or 6, and then we close about like 10 or 11. So I am there alone during high times where people are after work and they need to hit the gym and they need to grab either a refreshing juice or some high like greens or some smoothie, and I'm a lone kid who has to then juice all your shit, smoothie all your shit. And guess what? Blenders have to be washed in between smoothies, obviously, right? You don't want to be fucking gross. But worse yet, juicers had a probably a use of like 4, maybe 3 drinks before the strainer and like the blades and stuff had to be cleaned.
Mm.
You're one person.
I
And
That's definitely relatable, man. Because I was also working at a cafe when I was
mm,
a kid, and same thing, closing literally the worst.
it's literally dog shit, because then now I'm having to like wash these all by myself, clean these all by myself, and obviously the running joke amongst kitchen staff and closers and stuff like that is that the openers can like complain about the way people closed or like the small minute things, but they're not doing all the fucking work of having to clean up the
Mhm.
whole day's shit. That's a classic meme. I experienced that as well. But what I hated the most was the single shift thing, because one day, and this is the most hated day I had, was they'd sometimes have us work on weekends, but they had one weekend where it was like a happy hour. And
Oh
you'd
no.
think on a happy hour, you double shift, you double staff that, right?
Right.
People are going to be coming in. It was promoted because the owners of the shop, one was like a business guy, so he obviously like ran the shop in the traditional way. The other guy was a chiropractic professor.
Oh no. What's
So he teaches classes at a chiropractic school in the Bay Area, and he recommends to all the students, hey, come to my smoothie shop that I co-owned, the happy hour, come get drinks, whatever. It's happy hour. I'm solo bolo there, and randomly on like a 3 or 4 p.m., a wave of college kids start pulling up through while I'm trying to help this elderly black couple making oatmeal. We offered oatmeal, by the way. What the fuck? We offer making this dude oatmeal, and I see a wave of kids, and they all start ordering a bunch of shit. And all I'm doing is like staring at them. I look back at 2 juicers that are 2 drinks away from croaking, and 2 blenders filled with horrible, godlike, unfrozen fruits in the depths of like ethereal hell inside the sink.
and
And
it's still just you?
it's just me. And
Oh my goodness.
I had to solo bolo that whole thing and close. That whole experience immediately made me hate the service industry, and my heart goes out to everyone that works in it because it's not easy, and you get the most shit for it. And I understand that. That's why, personally, for me, if any of my friends would know that if we go out, I'm usually very nice to the service people, the waiters, waitresses, servers. I even crack jokes with them. I like to make them smile. I'm like, hey, look, here's a small little token of gratitude or a small little token of fun or laughter in your day, because I know you're underappreciated and you don't get enough tips. So
I agree.
yeah, wow. I'm sorry, I got a little loud there, but that's the worst job I ever did.
No, it's kind of funny because like we talked about like being in the service industry is basically just a rite of passage. And for me, same thing. My first actual job was at a cafe slash tea house. However, there was a second store which the owner
Oh,
owned, which was like in a mall on the second bottom floor, and the coffee shop was on the first floor. So I had to bounce back and forth between the two every couple
oh,
of hours and closing an ice cream shop and closing a coffee shop.
oh my
I don't know.
God.
So I understand. I totally can relate to what you're saying.
Ah, this episode is just a big old thank you to the service industry.
Yes, shout out to you guys.
You guys deserve to be paid more for the shit you go through, but sadly, that just ain't the way businesses work, baby. That's just
Mhm.
not the way the ends meet. So
I also blame that first job for my addiction to bubble tea.
I feel like us just being Asian in general, we should blame that
No,
as our addiction.
you don't understand. This was before bubble tea was like a thing.
That's
It was
true.
it was my very first bubble tea ever, and I had to make it. It was bad. I was not good at making bubble tea.
Did you have a favorite flavor or like type of tea that you like making, and that was like your go-to?
We had, from what I remember, a passion fruit black tea.
Oh,
It's pretty good. It was just passion fruit puree, right? With like honey black pearls, sweet black pearls. Wink, wink.
Todd's really trying
But
to
yeah,
sell you guys. Okay, so you actually like sweet drinks. That's kind of more your shtick in terms of the boba world.
no. If I were to order boba right now, it would be like black milk tea or taro milk tea, half sweet.
Oh,
That's usually my go-to.
I think definitely taste buds have like mellowed by now for sure.
Hmm.
I think I was way more adventurous in my tea and my boba orders in high school. Well, quote unquote adventurous, but really just more sweet. But as I got older, my sweet
Yes,
tooth like died, like completely fell off a hill. And now I'm like, bro, I
agreed.
I can barely do like a light ube yam flavor. I'll do a Thai tea, but even that sometimes kicks the mule. Like I'll get an almond. I get almond now. You know how
Ooh.
neutral nut flavor. I mean, that's so good, by the way. But still, like how neutral nutty flavor that is, and like
Mm.
so not sweet almond is. So, but yeah, that's just
It's our little stories.
that's our
Yes.
little stories. And you know what? That's the rite of passage for everyone. So if you haven't worked a service industry job yet, good for you. But hey, don't be a dick.
Yeah. Oh, before we go,
Yeah.
how much were you making in 2017?
Oh, what was my pay? I think I was making city specific. I think I was paying minimum wage, so that might have been like 10, 25.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
All
it's not
right.
bad. That's not bad considering I hear other states. I mean, albeit cost of living in the Bay Area is humongous, so the minimum
Hmm.
wage gets raised a bunch. But I think it was like $10, 10 something.
Nice. I got paid $5.75
Mm,
an hour
mm.
under the table
Oh, I mean, we love under the
because I
table.
because I was 15. I wasn't allowed to work legally yet.
Is it 15 and a half in New Jersey? What is it? 16.
16. Oh, back then it was still 16.
Oh, I think, yeah, for either California or the city that I worked in, it was 15 and a half. As long as you had a permit to work.
A permit to work.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you're
okay.
a minor, so you need like a permit to make sure you're not being freaking abused.
I was abused. I came home at midnight, man. It was bad.
That dude, that so much of the shit back then would not fly. And we say
No
back
way.
then, like it's only the early 2000s. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
That's pretty back then, bro. Spoiler.
okay. You know what? You know when we said we were old in the beginning of this pod?
We're old.
We're
We're
old.
old.
All right. Well, Khan, any last things for the folks out there?
That's it. Remember to tip the people making your food and drinks.
Yep. Treat them nice, treat them well. And thank you guys so much for listening to today's Thursday pod. We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early in the morning on Friday for our final episode of the week. And, well, take it easy, guys.
Bye.